Hello and welcome to another episode of the Super Soul Model series. I'm your host, James Granström, and today I have a fantastic new guest, and that is the wonderful, the beautiful Cristina Silva. Thank you so much for coming, Cristina. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me to the
Absolute
series.
joy to have you on. Absolute joy to have you here, Cristina. So Cristina is a friend of a friend, actually, and I reached out to her recently, and Cristina has a very inspiring story. She teaches yoga, she teaches Vinyassa yoga, she teaches hatha yoga, she teaches fitness training. She's got all sorts of wonderful attributes to her, but you know, more so than what she does, we want to find out about the person she is and what we can learn from Cristina this week. So Cristina, once again, thank you for tuning in. Could you just tell us and our guests a little bit about you and your background? And you know, you've got a really inspiring story, and I think that a lot of people could really benefit from learning your story, and maybe you can share a few tips with us along the way.
Well, hopefully. Thank you very much. Well, my background, what can I say? I'm a simple Mexican girl that comes to London, and I'm a personal trainer, yoga instructor. I teach hatha, Vinyassa yoga, and well, I'm just dedicating my life to try to help people to improve their lives, you know, in many different ways, in terms of, you know, health, their mind, their habits, and exercise, things like this. And yeah, that's me.
So when did you arrive in the UK? So what made you actually want to move from Mexico and come to London? I mean, that's a big step for anybody, because you know it's almost what, 2,500 miles or something like that.
Quite far away, right? Normally Mexicans, they go to United States.
That's
Here
quite
in
far.
London.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually living in France for a year,
Okay.
and I realized that Paris was not really my thing. You know, no, I don't know. It was just not what I wanted for my life, and then somehow I ended up in London, which I love, because I find that London is so multicultural. You find people from all over the place, all over the world. You can speak all the language, you know, and people is so open-minded. Fitness is really big in London. People really care about their health. Most of people, not everyone. Most
Yeah,
of them,
that's true.
they really care about their health, you know, the eating. So yeah, I came to London, and then I just found my home.
You find your home.
And here I am. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure everyone in London very happy to have you, because everybody needs a little positivity, and I feel like you've got an abundance of positivity, what the world needs, especially right now in terms of like quarantine and crisis and all that kind of stuff. You've got a really lovely energy about you, Cristina. So I wanted to ask you, you know, get straight into some questions. So one of the things that, you know, intrigued me about you and your story is, you know, I understand that you start doing personal training and personal fitness first before the yoga, or did the yoga come afterwards? You know, what's been your journey of fitness?
No, you know, I actually started with personal training first. This was like 9 years ago when I arrived to London. And I started my journey because I don't know, I was always really into kind of training and health. And somehow I thought, you know what, maybe this is what I want to do for my life, because I really believe that people should be doing what they feel passionate about, right?
Yeah.
And just before, I used to do like marketing and other things, and I was not really happy with my life, or with the job. You know, it was not something that I was like, waking up every morning saying, oh my God, yes, I'm gonna go to work. So when I discovered fitness, I realized that was my passion, and helping people was my passion. So I started doing personal training 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And then after that, you know, the more you work, and with the time, you realize that fitness is not just about the body. That is so much more, you know. And most of the people, they have physical issues is because there is other issues going on in their mind, in their life, you know, and in relationships, so many other different things. And then I found yoga, because I went into like kind of like rough path in my own personal life. So I needed to find something else to kind of fill the gap that I was having myself. So then I found yoga, and I realized that yoga was really helping me, not just with the physical kind of aspect of, like, you know, training and looking good, but it was helping me with my mind.
Yeah.
And then I started kind of thinking, well, I think I need to kind of like complement what I do with something different than that. And then I went to Bali, and then I did my yoga certification, and then I started going to that path too.
So how long have you been doing the yoga for? You know, what was that sort of, yeah, I mean, it's usually the trialing tough challenge periods of our life, which helps define us and helps us make new choices. I know that is especially for me. And, you know, I've read so many books about it, you know, I've read other people's stories about it, but when it's your own life and it's your own experience and you're living it, then you're up against a challenge and you're thinking, you know, I'm at a crossroads. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I'm not happy the way that my life is turning out. I know some things need to change. And that's why I love your story. And I love that you've been open and, you know, honest with us straight away. I mean, it's tough to go through any challenge in life, but to come out the other side and turn it into a force of positivity, you know, turn a so-called negative experience into a positive experience. I mean, that's my philosophy in life, is like, if I can turn it into a positive and transmute the negative into a positive, then happy days. And you know, that's why I love your story. But how long did it take you, you know, from you going, oh, I'm having this experience, to going, I think the yoga, and then the transition of that? Because, you know, it can take some time for someone. You know, for me, it took me at least a couple of years to find meditation before I found my balance. But how did it work for you?
It took me a few years to realize, you know, because you kind of know that something is missing, but you don't really know exactly what it is. So you kind of like try to go in try different things. And I was always finding kind of like my kind of like safe place into my training, you know, weight training. That's why I started doing like the fitness competitions and things like that. And then when the fitness competitions happened, then I realized that it was definitely something off, because I was winning, I was doing amazing, and then I felt myself like empty, and then the training was not just giving me what it used to give me before. It took me a few like years to realize there was like something kind of like that I need to, you know, look for something different. And then it was when I kind of like started going into the yoga, and then when I started doing yoga, I realized that there's something missing. It was myself, you know, it was kind of finding myself, and that you find it into going within yourself. So yoga is one of the practices that it help you, because people have this idea of yoga of a like kind of stretching class. But yoga is much more than that. Yoga is a lifestyle, right? Yoga is kind of like, it's like going within yourself, you know, when doing the inner work. And that hour and a half that you are in the yoga class is just kind of like getting lost into yourself and your body, which in just training is just more about like kind of like not punishing your body, but it's like kind of challenging your body a little more. And yoga is a little more about like understanding what is wrong, what is happening inside of you, not just in terms of your body, but in your mind too. So it took me a few years, but once you understand what is actually missing, then you can actually start working in what can I do to make this better. No?
Yeah, beautiful answer. So you did your test in Bali, you did your yoga instructor's license, and you've been teaching yoga for how long now have you been teaching that?
I did the yoga certification last year. It's been a year and something that I'm like doing the yoga. And with the yoga, I'm teaching the yoga, but I also kind of like taking a lot of work kind of like for myself, you know. So I teach, but I also try to kind of like, that's my also personal space, you know, like kind of like
it's like
the thing that I do for myself.
Experience. It's like your own cathartic experience for yourself. You're teaching, but you're actually doing it for yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, a bit like, you know, even this podcast, you know, it's great for me to be able to share messages of upliftment, positivity, and happiness and well-being. And as much as it is to interview and learn about other people, it's also, you know, fun for me. And it's also fun for me to meet other people and learn as well, because I love to learn and I love to teach. And I think it's an ongoing thing, because the more I learn, the more knowledge I acquire. And then me being me, I'm a guinea pig on anything. If I think it's great, I'm going to try it out. So I have my experience, and that's how you build up wisdom, isn't it? So it's great that you've got that space for you, that the yoga can offer you that mental haven, that mental little bit of heaven for you. Because I do it in meditation, so you know, any which way you can get to that space is a great space. So
yeah, and you know one thing, the more you can help yourself, the more you can help others, right?
of course.
So the more you understand yourself, what is happening with it yourself, with your body, the more you can kind of relate with what is happening with other people, how other people feel, how other people think, what they're going through. So you're able to help a little more. And that's why it's so important to do the inner work, so we can be in a good personal space, so we can actually share this with other people, right?
Yeah, I mean, unless you're, you know, it's that old adage, unless you fill up your own cup, you've got nothing to give. But one thing that I've learned is that the more you take care of yourself, the more you learn about yourself, the more you can give from that place. So it's great that you've done a lot of work on yourself. You can tell by the well-roundedness of it, you know, of it interviewing you, and I love that. It's quite rare, and it's beautiful at the same time. So kudos to you, because I know in my own experiences that when you're doing a lot of inner work on yourself, it can be challenging. You know, it can be challenging to unravel, uncover, maybe unlearn. And then, you know, again, you have like a little rebirth and a restart before something new comes again. So that's absolutely brilliant. So are you still doing your personal training? Are you still teaching people personal training and doing the yoga?
Absolutely. It's I think for me, fitness in a holistic like view, it needs to be everything, right? It's not just about the body, it's not just about the mind, it's about the connection of both. So I always try to kind of like teach my clients that training, it is important, because you need to keep your body strong, you need to keep your body fit, you need to keep yourself releasing energy, you know, so you open a space to bring more energy toward inside of you, but positive one, right? So I think it's the perfect combination, you know, personal training, yoga. So I keep doing both.
It sounds like a nice balance. It's a nice balance, isn't it? That's really what it is, you know.
Exactly. Because for me, yoga is not like a fitness training session, you know. So for me, I have my personal training where actually everything is about, you know, energy and in and out exercise, you know. It's about like a little bit more explosiveness. And yoga is a lot about more connecting with your breath, with your body, with how you feel, with your thoughts, you know, maybe releasing everything that is holding you back is different. So that's why for me it's the perfect combination between both. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So how does this all sort of combine with you? You know, I know that you've mentioned briefly that you've been doing a lot of the contests, and you've been doing is it the beauty contest or bikini contest that you've been doing?
It's a mix of both.
Okay.
So I normally compete with a federation that's called WBFF.
Okay.
And
what does that stand for? What does that stand for?
W is World Beauty.
Yeah.
You called me like off guard.
Yeah.
WBFF is World Beauty Fitness Fashion. Fitness and fashion. So it's kind of like a beauty competition, but in terms of fitness. So it's not just, they call it like, there is like the Victoria's Secret of the fitness world. So it's really feminine. It's not like other federations that you actually just about muscles and posing. This is about a little bit more about yourself, your personality. How do you move on the stage? You know, how do you look in general? You know, face, hair, makeup, body. So it's about that.
I mean, I found from modeling, you know, I've been modeling for a long time, and it's given me so much. And one thing I've always noticed, you know, you were just mentioning, you know, on stage that, you know, it's about what you're giving. I always used to think, you know, when I first started modeling and they'd be taking pictures of me and you'd just be doing your like little poses or whatever. And then what I'd noticed was when I'd look back on the pictures could feel very empty, whilst a great photographer could really capture like a beautiful moment. what I quickly realized is, well, it wasn't quick actually. What I realized is probably after a bit of time, after studying all these pictures of me in different magazines and on commercials and campaigns and so on, I was like looking at the pictures, and I remember there was one client who came to see me when I was in Milan. I was living in Milan for a while, and he came to see me because of this one picture. And this one picture, I remember how I was feeling whilst the picture was being taken. And I was feeling so, I'm going to say the word zen at that moment. I was feeling so zen, like very clear-minded and just totally in my own element. And that one picture has just like brought so many people to me and gone on so many mood boards. And I remember thinking to myself, God, okay, so I understand the element really of what it takes to model in one aspect is it's the way you're feeling whilst you're being photographed, or so in your case, whilst you're on stage, you know, when you're giving your speech or whatever, it's how you're feeling, how composed you are. That is also incredibly magnetic. And that is a real art and a real skill, because I couldn't always just tap into a great feeling, you know, when I'm being photographed on a cold, wet day and I'm doing, you know, summer wear in the middle of winter. You know, it's not something that I could do. But I know that that's why I take my hat off to you, because I know that there's so much that has to go into, you know, one of those contests or one of those programs. So,
you know, yeah, it is, because we speaking about like fitness competitions, it's like everything that you go through before stepping on the stage. Stepping on the stage is a moment, you know, it goes like that.
Yeah.
But everything they go through before, and then that moment when you get into the stage, that you're feeling depleted, you're feeling tired, you're feeling like, wow, I cannot wait for this to be over. But then you need to kind of like connecting to whatever that happened, and just going to a stage feeling like the best, you know. And it is quite difficult sometimes. I remember my first competition, I did a mess, but I won. But I think, you know what,
you won,
even
you won on your first competition?
Yeah, first
Yeah.
competition ever. I remember I did like posing classes. I did like everything. I had my routine done. Well, I'm really Mexican, so I never follow rules. So I remember I had my routine done perfectly. And I just stepped onto a stage and I did everything but the thing that I had planned. So I went in there and I was like really Mexican, posing here, posing there, smiling and just being myself, you know? And yeah, and then I won the competition.
Well,
So
I love that, you know, just be yourself. That's really the key to life, isn't it? You know, so
yeah,
despite
be
the
yourself.
challenges, despite some of the things that you think are not working out for you, they are working out for you, because the more often that you're yourself, or should I say, the more you learn to be yourself and try and unlearn to be something that society or, you know, you think your family want you to be, just be yourself, and that's more than enough.
I think that's the most important thing to do as human beings.
Absolutely.
Unlearn everything that you've been learning all your life so you can actually be who you truly are. Because that's what life is about, right? Stop pretending to be what other people think you should be, and just be yourself, no? And the right people is gonna stay in your life, and the people that doesn't belong in your life, they will go. And then that's fine, no? So
it just makes it sounds so easy, doesn't it? To, you know, to some people listening on the show, you know, it sounds so easy, but you know, that's really what it is. That's all it is. But I think it's us that makes it complicated on occasions, that you think you need to be, you know, this type of person for this environment and so on. And particularly in modeling, sometimes you need to be a bit of a chameleon to fit in for this and adapt the whole time. But I think what I've found is that the more that you're yourself when you turn up to an environment, whether it's a party, whether it's a job or meeting new people, what's fascinating is people get to receive the gift of yourself when you're very present with them. And, you know, you've got like no inhibitions. I just think that that's healthy. Like you just mentioned.
Definitely. I know maybe for some people it's a difficult thing to do, to just be themselves. I'm quite lucky though, because I can be lucky or maybe not, because I was never be able like to be something different than myself. And it could cost me a lot of trouble. But, you know, at the end of the day now, I'm quite thankful to just be the way I am. I'm never been able to pretend anything different. And I know many people like look at me thinking, look at this one. But you know, it's who I am. But I think for many people it's difficult to try to let go of who they think they should be, right? Because the conditioning, when you grow up with parents telling you you should be this, you should be that, you should behave like this, you should behave like that, and it goes on and on and on. Schools, work, this and that, and it's so difficult to let go of that image of yourself. Like, how do you think you should look for the other people, and be yourself? But I think it is important for, like, you know, like, to let go of that so you can actually just be truly happy and truly yourself. Sometimes some people get depressed because it's so difficult to try to maintain this image of being so like perfect or okay all the time. So
yeah. So what are your practical tips then, Cristina? So I know you do your fitness training to maybe ramp up some energy for you, and you do your yoga to help you maybe calm down and stretch the body. What other little insider tips can you share with us that you use regularly to, you know, just get you in that space, you know, get you in that nice headspace? Because, you know, life is challenging from time to time. So it's like, yeah, I'm just intrigued to know, you know, what are your little secret tips that Cristina does to make sure that she stays, you know, feeling good as much as possible?
Feeling good. Well, breathe, you know, it's as simple as that. People sometimes forget. They just sit down, breathe, think about everything that you have in your life that to be thankful for, and then appreciate that, and then release everything that is not serving you anymore. That's what I do. Sometimes you wake up and then you realize your mind is going at you. Oh my God, this, oh my God, that, oh my God. Just stop yourself at those moments when your mind is going against you and breathe. Be conscious of your thoughts, you know? If you catch your thoughts when they're going that direction, just catch them and then just force them to do that direction. We always have the choice to say, you know what? My mind is letting me down now. My mind is putting me in an emotional space that I don't want to be. So I'm going to switch it off and try to do something to change, right? So many people ask me, why are you always so positive? I was like, no, I'm not always really positive, but I choose to try to be in that headspace all the time, you know? And just breathing deep will always help you to relax your body, no? And relax your mind too. So whenever you're having a hard time, just breathe. And you're alive, so what else you're going to be thankful for?
Happy days. So Cristina, I can tell you've done a lot of work on yourself. I can tell you, you know, you've trained your mind in beautiful ways to really focus on the best. I can tell.
So I'm still trying.
Hey, it's an ongoing process. It's an
ongoing thing.
So what kind of books have defined you? You know, can you give me 3 books that you've read that have defined you, and maybe you could share with us something that you're reading right now that's inspiring you?
You know, it's funny that you said that, because I have a book in front of me that is actually the book, one of the books that is being the most powerful for me. The Power of Now.
Now, Eckhart Tolle, amazing. Yeah.
This is one of the books that I can say it changed me. Like, because I'm really in my journey, like, it's coming to kind of like understanding and to kind of like how the mind works, you know, the feelings, why sometimes we feel like anxious. When I was a kid, I used to be a kid that was worried all the time, like worried. I will be worried about everything. And then this book is one of the books that helped me to understand how powerful it is to stay in the present moment. Because in the reality is, most of the time, the present moment, everything is okay. You know, we are fine, we're okay, we're breathing, we're alive. Everything has a solution, and if it doesn't, well, you know. So this book is what has been one of the most important ones for me. I read it like 5 times already, and every time I read it, I learn something different.
Yeah, I read that book. Yeah. I must have read that book quite a few times, but I read it again. I think, did it come out in 2007 or something like that, or maybe earlier?
Yeah,
I must have read it. I feel like I read it like 10 years ago, and then I read it again last year. And I was like, in fact, it's longer than 10 years ago, that book. Yeah, I read that really quite a while ago. And then I read it again last year. And I was like, wow, I'm seeing this through a whole new set of eyes. And my mum said to me, she goes, "Oh, do you have a book for me?" And I passed her that book, because my mum got me onto spirituality and understanding about, you know, kindness and love and compassion. And when she read that book, she goes, "I don't understand this at all." So, you know, it does take quite a level of mind and a lot of patience to be able to digest the information in that amazingly powerful book. And actually, one of my tracks that I wrote recently, because I produce like dance music, is one of the
Yeah.
words by Eckhart Tolle, and it's called, "If you can live in harmony with life, there are three words that is," and it's called "What Be One with Life," one with life. So that was one of my last tracks that I did, and it was just based on Eckhart Tolle's words. I was just like, man, this is it. So I'm constantly wanting to find a level of harmony, and live in life and live in balance with the planet and other people, and live in one with the life. And I definitely put it down to, you know, that power of now, and being able to be accepting of what is, and making the best of what is.
Yeah, one of the things that like always like got me from this book is the power of surrender.
Yeah.
You know, the power of surrender. Sometimes you just need to surrender to what it is and then release it, you know, and it will give you so much like internal peace, because sometimes we have like so many battles inside of us, you know, of what it should be, or, you know, past problems, future worries, and so many things going on inside of here that it just becomes too much. And then the power of surrender is just surrender of what it is, or what it will be, or what it was. Just let it go and allow life to happen, you know. Life is flowing all the time, so just let it do its things, you know. And yeah, this book is just, yeah, it's one of the most important. You know who else I love to read? Alan Watts.
Alan Watts. Oh yeah, he's good, isn't he?
That's another big one for me. That's a little bit more complicated to understand even than this.
Oh,
But
Alan Watts. So if anyone hasn't, go check out Alan Watts on YouTube. He has a beautiful voice. He passed away actually quite a few years ago, but a lot of his work is from the early 70s, and he's an old Zen master and a Buddhist. In fact, he studied all different traditions of like spirituality, but what he speaks is very profound even for now. So like I find his work is so up to date and almost so ahead of its time. But I think that these principles that you learned about mind, body, and spirit are always timeless, and it doesn't matter whether you're in your beauty pageant. It doesn't matter if you're training hard at the gym. It all is timeless, and it always is apparent, you know. And yeah, Alan Watts is amazing. So yeah, have you read any of his books, or is it mainly just, you know, listening?
Yeah, I read some of his books, but I'm always kind of obsessed with it. You know, you go to YouTube and you type Alan Watts, has so many beautiful kind of speech, and he did a lot of things. So he's one of my favorites too. I just like tapping into people that like can really teach you something. I'm the kind of person that when I read a book, I wanted to leave something for me, like from my life, for growth. Yeah. I will never read like a book that is like adventure or anything like that. Like it will be something more like this. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got to be completely honest. I used to read fiction, and I don't read fiction anymore. I just read biographies and anything to do with mind, body, spirit. That's all I read, really. And because I'm constantly wanting to improve myself. Obviously, there are people who live in the world or who have lived before that I'm inspired by their story, because I'm always wanting to, you know, maybe learn from them and apply it in my life. Because everywhere I've gone, I always just try and take a little bit, like you mentioned, take a little bit of that book, take it with you, put it in your heart, and then go and live your life from that perspective, having a little bit more wisdom filled up in your cup once you apply maybe what you've learned from them. So yeah, so that's amazing. So Cristina, is there anything you'd like to teach us before, you know, we start parting our ways on the end of this conversation? Because you've given us so much. I mean, in terms of like the understanding of your mind and your spirit, and of course the physicality of the body. But what if there was anything that you could take away and give to, you know, a new listener right now from your experience? What would it be for you know, potential super soul models out there?
To teach, well, I don't know. Well, I don't really like the term I will teach anyone, but I would love like to share. exactly share, like, from my experience, the importance of taking care of ourselves. I think that's one of the things that, in what I do in my job and with my clients and with the people that I am with, I always try to help people to kind of like put a little more effort into themselves, like listen to their bodies, not just like physically but mentally too. Take care of themselves, to the food that they eat, right? Because it's so important what you put into your body, to how your body is gonna like, you need to love your body so your body loves you back, right? So I think from my part, that will be one of the most important things that I can like share with the people. Just try to pay attention to yourself, to your mind, to your thoughts, to your body, what is missing, and just give yourself some love. That will be.
Just for people who might find it a bit tricky, how would you be able to listen to your body if you don't really understand yet? If the awareness is just new, how would you say, oh, how do I listen to my body? How would you sort of interpret that?
Well, listen to your body, just pay attention to what is happening, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, so let's just, an example, food, right? So when I tell my clients, listen to your body when you eat, is sometimes we eat with the head and we don't eat with the body, yeah? So if you bring your consciousness into your stomach when you eat, you will realize that most of the time when you are eating, it's not because you are hungry or because your body needs food. It's just because your mind is telling you that it wants something else. So listening to your body is just pay attention to what is happening inside of you. If you have a pain, what is happening? Like if you have like pain in your knee, what is happening? Like just pay attention and try to kind of like be aware of what your body needs. And then that's it. I think it's all about consciousness. It's about being conscious of what is happening. Sometimes we go in this automatic mode, you know, we don't really think about how we're feeling. We just go through life rushing, trying to do things. People sometimes is tired and they don't really stop because they're too much in their heads thinking that they need to do this, do that, do this, do that. And then they have just these massive breakdowns because they're not listening to their body. So they are not having the rest that they need, you know, or maybe they are not being like kind of healthy with what they eat. So they end up having these massive breakdowns, feeling like ill or whatever. So listening to your body, just pay attention to what is truly happening inside of you.
Very nice.
That's
very nice.
my.
Well, Cristina is our super soul model this week. So thank you so much for joining in the conversation. And thank you so much for being on the podcast, Cristina. It's been an absolute joy having you and talking with you. You shared with us some beautiful wisdom and some beautiful insights. And it's lovely to have someone on the show who's beautiful on the inside and beautiful on the outside, like all our guests. And I love to remind people of that. So huge thanks to you. Cristina, I'm going to put some links below or below the podcast or below the video. But if people wanted to reach you and connect to you and maybe find some of your classes somewhere or, you know, some stuff that you're up to, where could they find you?
Well, they can actually find me on Instagram. That's like my main platform right now. Also, I have YouTube. If they go to my Instagram, they will find the connection to all of the rest.
Happy day. And then you can see
my
Cristina Silva, the world of Cristina Silva. Well, Cristina,
the world of Cristina Silva, yeah. Huh?
Well, Cristina, once again, a huge thank you, and thank you for coming today. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a joy having you on the Super Soul Model series. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I have. Delight to have Cristina on the show. And like always, I wish you green lights all the way.